All right, we're talking about the exciting world of insurance. Dave, Joel, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having
Whether you
us.
love it or hate it, you need insurance. So we got Rick with us also. Dave and Joel are principals at Commercial Insurance Associates. So again, thanks for joining us, and let's just dive in. First question for new contractors. Can you start by telling us what insurance every line haul contractor needs in order to run?
Sure. Workers' compensation and non-trucking liability and physical damage insurance would be the auto insurance portion of it. And as of January 23rd of next year, they will also require employment practices liability insurance.
All right. And so where does a contractor start? Do they go and reach out to different companies for each individual one, or can one company do all these?
Well, most companies don't have an all-in-one package, and in commercial insurance, that's not what you would want anyway, because there are what are called monoline markets, meaning they only write one line of insurance, and very monoline workers' comp markets and monoline auto insurance markets and monoline EPLI markets tend to be more aggressive than an all-in-one package. So where the big differentiator is, as you come to an agency like Joel and me, and we only work on FedEx ground contractors, we can piece that together for you. So you still only have one point of contact, but we're maximizing the coverage and the price for you.
Got it. Okay, so that's big. Being one point of contact probably takes a lot of stress off of people. And just to clarify, can you guys identify where you specialize in?
Sure. So, to expound on that a little bit more, as David was saying, FedEx ground contractors are our bread and butter. That's our real focus. So, while there are some insurance agents out there that will, focus on, plumbers, electricians, manufacturing, et cetera, we're not as diversified. We're laser focused on FedEx contractors. So what that means is our depth of understanding and expertise within that realm is very, very deep. And beyond that, the service staff that we've got that backs us up, because we couldn't be out there doing what we're doing if we didn't have a great team that supported us. And our support staff is focused on FedEx as well. So there's no surprises.
And so, how long have you guys been dealing in the FedEx realm?
Our team's been in existence for, I believe, 8 or 9 years.
Okay, so plenty of experience there.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. So now diving a little more deeper into policies, what factors are most important or they need to consider when determining a policy for someone? Is it size of a company? What things go into consideration?
David?
Yeah, so lots of things go into consideration. Size is one, and size is a different differentiator for each line of insurance. In workers' compensation, it's based off of payroll and the rates you get per class code. In the vehicle insurance, non-trucking liability, physical damage, it's based on the amount of tractors you have and the overall value of each tractor. EPLI, it's based on, could be as minimalized as the zip code you're in, how litigious that zip code is, because EPLI mainly covers against lawsuits that arise from multiple different things, number of employees, revenue, zip code. So there's lots of different things that can go into it.
Can I jump in for a minute? So I think I'm going to need to be the translator here.
I think that would be helpful.
So I know what you guys are talking about just because I happen to have ran a FedEx business for quite a while. And full transparency, I do use Joel and Dave for my insurance for my company. So maybe I'm a little biased here, but I have a trucking company outside of FedEx. We have our own authority. And when we were getting quotes in those early days, we went to Progressive and we paid $23,000 a year for our trucking, our liability, basically that package, our cargo, umbrella, everything. And then compared to FedEx, it was like, oh my God, FedEx is amazing. It's so much less expensive. And I don't know how much I've really dove in to understand every little aspect of why it's less expensive. But let's talk about why somebody coming in that maybe is familiar with how expensive trucking insurance is, why in FedEx it's so much less expensive on a high level.
Sure. Well, basically, any TSP is a subcontractor for FedEx Ground, meaning you're running under FedEx Ground's motor carrier and DOT number. If you run a trucking company like you, Rick, outside of FedEx, you have your own motor carrier and DOT number. That is what the liability follows. So in essence, when you're with FedEx Ground, you pay for the repair to your tractors, and then liability, which is damage to someone else in insurance, you pay for liability if your tractor was being used for personal reasons. FedEx Ground covers the liability whenever your truck is under dispatch or being used for a business purpose, since you're running under their motor carrier and DOT number, which is why it's relatively a lot cheaper than what you've seen outside of FedEx.
Okay, to be clear, I have an employee, I have a driver. Let's call her Kelsey.
Okay.
Hot-headed, out on the road. Kelsey's super aggressive out there. And one day she takes that truck. I love you, Kelsey. She takes that truck and she gets into an accident, and it's her fault, but she's attached to FedEx trailers. The truck is damaged, the trailers are damaged, and there's multiple other cars, unfortunately, that are damaged as part of this. Who's covering what? What is my insurance covering, and what is FedEx covering per the agreement?
Sure. So your insurance is covering the repair to your tractor. No matter when the accident happens, your insurance covers the repair to your tractor. In personal insurance, you'd see it as comp and collision type coverage to your personal vehicle. Any other damage to anybody else is covered by FedEx under their primary auto liability insurance.
Okay, so if we're going through your company and we get into an accident, we are paying, I assume, you guys a deductible to cover our truck to get fixed. Everything else is going through FedEx, and we're going to have a separate deductible that goes to that policy.
Yes, we have no control or even workings with ARC on their deductibles and the indemnification amounts. So we're not privy to a lot of that information, but we can help where needed.
Copy. Okay. Makes sense. Christian, I'll turn it back to you.
Sure, that was helpful, I think. So when people are coming over to you and engaging you, what are the most common mistakes you see in their policies? Like things that you guys can fix?
I'd say low-hanging fruit would be incorrect payrolls are being used, which can result in an audit at the end of that policy period. And so frequently, especially if I'm talking with somebody that, could be with another carrier where they're not as focused on making sure that those payrolls are accurate at the beginning of the policy, someone's payroll might be twice what they had planned for on that policy. And at audit, they're going to owe that other half of that premium. And that could be tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, I talk to contractors every week, and one of their biggest complaints is, why do I owe $30,000 or $40,000 every time there's an audit? And one of the things that we do, Christian, in order to keep that from happening, is the majority of the carriers that we work with have a pay-as-you-go. So at the end of the month, they log in, they put their payroll, it says how much do they have to pay, they pay it, and then at the end of the year, there's no big huge audit. That's probably one of the simplest things that I run across.
And can you talk a bit? So you guys obviously had 8 to 9 experiences, call it a decade on your team. Can you talk about a little bit what differentiates your knowledge versus like other companies that people are working with?
Dave?
Sure. Well, I myself was an underwriter for a work comp carrier, and then an MGA, which just means I set the pricing for 5 years before I came over to the agency side. We're very consultative, and it's more than insurance. If as a new contractor, you need a safety company, we can recommend you to company Rick uses, Safety Forward. You even get a discount for being our client. If you need back office support, we can recommend you to someone there. Recruiting, someone there. If you want to buy more runs, we'll send feelers out to our clients to see if anybody's looking to sell. Because if you cut out, a broker that's charging the seller commission to sell the runs, there might be a better deal there. or what have you. So we connect people, and then on the insurance side, we're on top of everything. If a claim happens, we want to file it for you so we can stay on top of it so that it doesn't blow out of proportion. 2 years ago, tractor prices increased tremendously. The type of insurance that you carry as a line haul contractor, it's called a stated value policy. Whatever your tractor is valued for on your insurance policy is what you get paid. So if you wreck a tractor that you had valued and you bought in 2018 for $140,000, but the replacement of that tractor is $190,000 in today's market, your insurance is only going to pay you for $140,000. So review policy coverages, review, like Joel said, workers' comp deals on payroll. Sometimes you're reporting stuff wrong to the wrong class codes in payroll. That leads to audit amounts, or somebody pushed you to or encouraged you to go down the wrong path when it came to your payroll reporting, and that can get you in trouble. So very consultative and hands-on, and go through everything as deep or as shallow as you want to when it comes to your coverages.
That's a great point. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that. So for anybody who's running trucks right now, the idea of trucks being worth so much more money, like make sure your stated value on your insurance policy matches the correct value. We, unfortunately, in 2020, we had a situation where we got hit and it totaled a truck. It was a minor little accident, but it ended up bending the frame, and the truck that was now selling for, 120 grand, our stated value on it might have been 75. It was an 18 Cascadia, new body, had a ton of miles on it. And it was like, whoa, this truck, I can't go buy this truck for 75 grand. I need a 120. Well, sorry, you didn't update your stated value. Well, early on, we didn't know. Nobody really had thought about that. So hopefully at this point, everybody's updated their policies. But if not, review the value of these trucks and make sure you're communicating with your insurance company to bump up that stated value, just in case.
We encourage everybody to review their values at least every 6 months. And, it's really easy to Google 2018 Freightliner Cascadia for sale near me and see what comparables are selling for, because the caveat to your insurance is if you have a stated value on a tractor of 200,000, but it's worth 170 in today's market and it's a total loss, they're only going to give you the 170. So that's the catch 22. If it's undervalued on your insurance, they're going to pay you the lesser amount. If it's overvalued, they're still going to pay you the lesser amount. So you don't want to overpay premiums on something that if it is total loss, you don't get that full value for.
Good
When
point.
when I came into FedEx, I was told to call this phone number to get insurance and workers' comp set up. And it was a company called Marsh. And I was with them for 3 years. And I'm not going to speak to that relationship because I'm a little scared of them, to be honest. But I will say that I'm no longer with them. Is there anything you guys can talk about in terms of why that contractors typically will start there but end up migrating elsewhere for their workers' comp and insurance needs?
Well, I think part of it is sort of like what you mentioned just now, is that they don't know any better. And if they're handed a phone number and this, there's so much to learn when a contractor is first coming into this industry, that if they're given the phone number, they're like, oh, okay, I'll call this. And they just want to get compliant so they can get trucks on the road and start making money. They may not know that there are other options out there. I think that's probably the biggest reason.
Okay.
Well, and if you're coming in as a FedEx ground contractor and your terminal manager says, hey, call this number, that they got your insurance. Well, FedEx is telling you who to call. So a lot of times, I don't want to say it's the blind leading the blind, but you're going to go off their recommendation initially most of the time.
Okay. So new contractors, they should certainly seek outside opinions. Question mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
When we first, sorry, I don't mean to hijack this conversation. I just have
please.
more questions. When it comes to our workers' comp rate, when we started, we were paying $18 per $100 of payroll for New Jersey truck driving insurance. And now it's a lot less than that. How does that process works? How do people get lower rates, because when we first started, it was, oh, this was the rate. This is the rate in New Jersey. Everybody pays this rate. And clearly that wasn't the case. And it took us, leaving Marsh to realize, well, nope, the prices get cheaper. And maybe, why is that?
Mhm. Well, I mean, if you think about it, as you have time for your company to create its own history and you begin to develop your mod score, I would say that's the first thing.
What's a mod score?
So your mod score is calculated by NCCI. They're kind of the governing body for that. And you can think of it as your report card. Basically just letting you know, especially for your workers' comp policy, are you making a lot of claims? Or you're not making very many claims. So here's an example. I've got some contractors in Texas and they have what's called a credit mod, which is a 0.75. Everyone starts at a 1. And then if you have a lot of claims, it goes up, 1.25, 1.30. But if you don't have very many claims, it goes down. And when you get a credit mod, what that means is if you've got, say, a 0.75, when you find out what your rate is, you're going to have a 25% credit on your rate. So say your rate's $4, and you have a 0.75, it's going to take $1 off. Your rate's going to become $3 per 100. So, that's one of the big factors I would say would be the mod score. Another one is the state that they're in. Some states pay higher rates. Out on the West Coast and the tri-state area as well, they're paying higher rates in places like, Texas, or places like, Mississippi, where it might be a lot cheaper. I mean, I've got some contractors that are paying under $3.
Oh my God,
in
I'm
Texas.
moving.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah. So, but that's a combination of the state rates being lower
Okay.
and then also having a good mod score, because
So as you're successful, managing your business and not having workers' comp related issues, new contractors certainly expect their rates to come down on workers' comp.
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes, they should.
Is
And
there
one
any?
thing to kind of touch on, not to cut you off, Rick, but to cut you off, that also Joel mentioned, every state sets a rate that they start with, and it's all different. So a guy in New Jersey starts at $14.46, and where the guy in Texas might start at $5.24. So carriers can differentiate based on what the state sets as far as credits and debits to get you your final rate or the rate that you pay. So don't compare yourself to somebody in a different state, because his starting rate might be a lot different than yours.
Copy. Okay.
Cool. So just to kind of backtrack here and just give a general idea for new contractors. So if they're coming into this, are they first reaching out to you guys, reaching out to Marsh, reaching out to both of you at the same time?
No, essentially, a lot of new contractors just reach out to us, and we can help them 99% of the time. If for some reason it's an odd scenario or odd situation and we can advise them where the best place to go is.
Cool. And I didn't quite mean to wrap it up there, but I think one of the biggest things here is for anyone listening, or can you guys just talk a little bit more about any tips you might have for anybody? Like the fact that you're a one-stop shop for everybody is one of the biggest things. It's a massive headache relief. So anyone who's coming in, what are some other things you can offer advice for?
So obviously do your research. When it comes to insurance, and one of the ways that we're different or massively different is we're one of the 100 largest agencies, independent agencies in the country, meaning we have a lot of access to a lot of different markets. If you go to somebody that like the company that Rick mentioned earlier that I will not name, they have one option. So you go to them, it's kind of like going to your neighborhood farm bureau agent for your home. They give you a farm bureau quote. We can access multiple different carriers and bring you the best quotes for your business. So knowing what your coverages are and what the companies bring to you from an insurance standpoint would go a long way for peace of mind, at least I believe, when starting a business.
Good point.
And just to add to that a little bit, we do have programs that are focused on these markets. So those come with underwriters that are familiar with the risks, that are comfortable with these types of businesses. And all of that just really comes together in a best case scenario for FedEx contractors.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like I've known Rick for a long time. He's obviously been doing this for a long time. And when he found CIA, I mean, this is why he recommends everyone to go there, is because you guys alleviated such a headache in dealing with everybody else. The fact that you get to go to one place. I mean, Rick, accurate? Is that fair to say? Dave and Joel are your insurance saviors.
Oh, wow. Woo, wow. White horse wings, all that. So the answer is yes. I have no problem, kind of from a line haul solutions perspective, recommending multiple people, multiple vendors that can solve a problem for you, make your life easier, bring down your expenses. At this point, I don't know if I'm recommending anybody else for insurance because of my direct experience. I've used Marsh, and I've used companies and seen people that have used companies as an on-ramp to another carrier, let's say. And my experience with them has been lackluster at best. And I can go through very, very specific things. One thing that irritates the hell out of me is when somebody waits to the very last minute to give you a quote just so that you can't shop it around if it comes back bad. And what led me, to you guys, and I knew I was going to be switching, was they pulled that on me for the second year in a row. Oh, we'll get it to you. Oh, stay tight. We'll get it to you. We don't write anybody until 90 days ahead of time, 60 days ahead of time. It's 2 weeks before we're ready to, need a new policy. And it came back high. Sorry, guys, you were perfect on your workers' comp, but yeah, we're going to have to bump it up a little higher. Not giving me any particular reasons, zero explanations. And you guys did a real good job of explaining to me all the little intricate details. And obviously, as a contractor, like, we're small business owners and we want to know every last little detail. How do I maximize my margins? And so you guys did a fantastic job of explaining to me, well, here's what your policy is. And if you want it to get better, this is what you need to accomplish. So the answer is a resounding yes.
Got it. And so if anyone wants to reach you, where's the best place?
Email or phone call is fine.
And so we'll add them in the description on the video, but can you guys just briefly say your emails or what best
Sure.
number?
I will always work off my personal cell phone. Anybody is welcome to call or text me anytime. It's area code 712-253-7520.
And my wireless number is 615-626-8391.
Thank you, Joel, Dave, for coming, talking about it. I think for anyone listening, like, make your life easy, reach out, just ask questions. Having one point of contact is a huge headache relief. So reach out. We're going to include the contact information. Any last words for anyone watching?
It doesn't matter where you are. We work with contractors in every state. So we have a nationwide reach.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, dude, I'm so hungry.
Yeah. That was sitting there the whole time.
I kept staring at it.